guys, welcome back. You're here with me, Jen the Taxidermy Witch, and we, in this video, are talking about oats in herbalism and witchcraft. Herbalism. And so I found this really rad container. Oats are something that we use in the kitchen, in the bathroom, and in my magical room. In the kitchen, you know, obviously for eating, I get these organic rolled oats, either out of the bulk bins, or, you know, you can find local growers at farmers markets. Where else do I get them? Oh, and then Bob's Red Mill has, like, a nice organic brand. But I like this container. I thrifted it. It's quite cool. In the bathroom, we use them in, like, a sitz bath because it's really good for your skin. However, when I looked through my medicinal book, I didn't find oats in there. So I don't know why, but I do know they're great for the skin. There's something that you have around for a raw foods diet, because if you get rolled oats, they're still raw. And that's the type I would suggest using in magic. But if you are trying to use what you have, which is what you should do, you know, you can go through oatmeal packets and just kind of like sift through the sugars and whatnot. If there's sugar on it, it's great for a fae offering. I know that fairies love oats, and that's not something I found in these books, but I also didn't look it up in my fairy book. So 3 books I'll be reading out of for this herb of oats, and I suppose we'll start with Supermarket Sabbats because this has just got a little snippet in it of the polarity. And also when we talk about the magical uses, it's of ingesting when you eat it rather than when you use it for your magics, like if you were to put it in a sachet. So, oat, it's on page 314. The element is Earth, the planet is Venus, the polarity is Yin, Y-I-N, and the magical uses when you ingest are money and abundance, okay? Just always love the word abundance. I couldn't tell you why, but it's a happy word. And when you have abundance, whether it be in love, money, happiness, it's just such a great thing. Next, I think, since we've talked about already ingesting it, let's move on to Scott's Cunningham's book of Encyclopedia of Wicca in the Kitchen. When you flip to the back, it tells you that it shows up a few times in this book. It shows up on page 9 through 10, page 55, and then page 303 through 304. And I hope me giving you the page numbers is helpful, because I know a lot of you guys are on your way to getting these books. And I think that if you put in your book of shadows, when you're writing these things, a reference number to my book Wicca in the Kitchen or to my encyclopedia, you know. This one I don't give page numbers because you just look it up alphabetically. I sure could, though. So, that's why I've been giving out page numbers. Is so, like, I thought it might be nice to note into your book of shadows, and then you can use it for a reference to your references, right? Okay, so it says page 9 through 10. All it says on page 9 is that, well, basically, this is the beginning of the book, and they're kind of telling you how to use it, and how magic works and stuff. But the real information on oats is oats of prosperity and gain. So, it's telling a story about, like, how a woman eats something for magical uses, and in this spell, she says something about what she's eating. And so she says out loud, you know, when you're eating this sandwich, the oats are of prosperity and gain. Lift away my financial pain. I'm flooded with prosperity. This is my will, so mote it be. And it's about this woman named Marjorie and her magical path. Couldn't really find anything on page 10 except for the fact that they're still talking about the oat bread. So there's that. And now we're on to page 55, where it gives you the actual, like, Cunningham Encyclopedia breakdown, which looks like this. Alright, and so oat. Avena sativa, A-V-E-N-A, S-A-T-I-V-A. Planet is Venus, element is Earth. Energies, when we're ingesting it, are money. Lore. Everybody knows I'm a big fan of lore. In Scotland, cakes known as bannocks. B-A-N-N-O-C-K-S. And I have a lot of friends in Scotland, like Ashley and Willow. Or Luna Blue and Willow. So, do you guys know of bannocks? And do you make bannocks? If you do, I would love to see your magical bannocks. In Scotland, cakes known as bannocks were baked and eaten at Beltane, the old pagan observance of May Day. My very favorite witchcraft holiday, and then my second favorite is Samhain. Oat cakes are still eaten during some contemporary Wiccan rituals. Magical uses. Use only whole grain oats. Told ya. So make sure that it's the whole grain oat, it's not been processed over and over, because when you're using it for magic, you don't want it to be refined. But again, if all you have is a packet of oatmeal, you can make it work. Put more intention into it. And then talk to the oats. Say, I know you guys have been through so much, but I know your powers are still there. And that might sound silly, but it's at the moment where you first start to feel silly, you know you're doing it right, because your ego's still there. And then when you get used to just talking to yourself or your spirit guides or your herbs when you're alone, it's literally so vibrant and magical. And as an herbalist, I think that a lot of people feel that way. But it will bring me to tears at times. Alright, magical uses, use only whole grain oats. Remember Marjorie from chapter 2? Okay, that whole story that we didn't read. We can prepare and eat oatmeal first thing in the morning to bring money and prosperity into our lives. Other magical possibilities include oat cookies and oat bread. So, that's kind of a little brief on what we missed from before. If you have this book, definitely read the intro because it gives you a good idea of how to use it. And then lastly, we are on to page 303 to 304, where Scotty starts chapter 34, which is called Desserts, with some prosperous banana fritters. And so it gives us a recipe where I'm guessing oats are going to be in there. They're not. Why did it say that then? Huh. I should have looked that up before we started. Well, if you guys have this book and see what I'm missing, then please help me if you like. I know that some beautiful friends of mine do help me with those things, and I greatly appreciate it. So I'm not seeing it here on page 303 or 304. But again, it could be the heat of the moment. Alright, so thank you for joining me for this video on magical oats. When I talked about that little bit on medicinals, just know that I'm not a doctor. These are the things, the information I've gathered through the years on herbalism from naturopaths and doctors who write books. So let's take a look at oats one more time, and I'll say thank you for coming back with me, Jen the Taxidermy Witch. Directly after this, I'm doing a video on oak, like the wood of oak, because as I was looking up oats, there wasn't much on oats, but there was so much on oak, so we'll be doing a big video on that next. Bye guys, thanks for joining me, Jen the Taxidermy Witch.